Hi everybody, this is Miss Meeple, and today we have a very special preview for Essen Spiel 2019. This is Armata Strigoi, a game by Paolo Vallerga and Marco Valtriani, illustrations by Sofia Dankova, and miniatures sculpted by Alan D'Amico. It is an original project by Scribabs that brings together music and game design in a unique and evocative way. The game is inspired by the song Armata Strigoi by Powerwolf, and it recreates the story and atmospheres of the song and lets you experience the eternal struggle between vampires and werewolves. It is a 2 to 5 player game and it takes about 90 minutes to be played. You can find this game at Essen Spiel 2019 at the Scribabs stand, Hall 5, stand M118. This version will be multi-language. Do you hear barking and screaming? That means it's time to learn the rules and start playing. The last vampire master and his apprentice are Strigoi from Wallachia. During their journey, they find shelter in the fortress of Tismana, but they don't know the Powerwolves are about to assault it. The players are the Powerwolves. They have to defeat both Strigois to win together. Once the first one is killed, it will not be that easy. The survivor will become a supreme master vampire, and the fortress will start collapsing. Arrange the 7 rooms and 6 platforms freely, but respecting the shape and structure indicated in the rulebook. Don't put the 2 platforms with the Strigoi symbols in adjacent rooms. Each player puts a ladder tile on the outside edge, not adjacent to a room with a Strigoi platform, and puts their miniature on top of the ladder. They receive their 6 action cards. Only at the beginning of the second round, or assault, the 2 Strigoi will appear in the center of their platforms. Create 2 separate decks of Heroic Advanced cards, Fire and Forgive and Fist by Fist. The legendary action cards are on the table with the requirement side visible. Next to the fortress you will find wound counters, fight tokens, blood point counters, altar and inferno cards, reward tokens, encounter tokens, Strigoi action tokens. Put the 2 Strigoi cards on their colored side and put the Strigoi attack marker next to the master. The game is divided in assaults, each divided in these phases: Initiative, Player's turns, Additional Strigoi's turn. During the initiative phase, players play face down 1 action card from their hand. The cards are revealed simultaneously. The turn order is defined by the initiative value. Lowest value plays first. Action cards have different symbols: movement value, combat value, and 1 or more abilities. Each player plays their turn following the initiative order. 1 turn is divided in these phases that have to be activated in this specific order: movement, combat, Strigoi's movement, and attack. If there is 1 or more abilities on your card, they have to be activated before the Strigoi's movement. In the movement phase, the player moves their miniature a number of spaces up to the number indicated on their action card. If the miniature crosses a space, or would end the movement in a space with another Powerwolf, the miniature jumps to the next space and doesn't count that space as movement. You can move from a stair space to another stair space, counting the entrance and the exit as 2 steps. If you step on an encounter space, you must end your movement and fight. You turn an encounter token, red or grey depending on the color of the space you are in, and you might encounter a monster or a monk. If you find a monster, you must fight it comparing their strength to the combat value on your played action card. You can add more strength by playing reward cards or discarding reward tokens. Reward cards can be used at any time in 2 possible ways: normally for the bonus in the top left corner, or with wild strength for the stronger bonuses on the top right corner. If you play it normally, your card then goes in your discard pile, and you will pick it up later. If you use it with wild strength, the card is eliminated after use. If your strength is equal or greater than the monsters, you win the fight, and you get the reward indicated on the token, which can be a reward token, a reward card, or a blood point. In the last case, take a blood point counter and put it on the altar card. You need to have blood points on the altar in order to attack the Strigois. The number of blood points needed is indicated in the rulebook, depending on the number of players. After defeating your first red and grey monster, you obtain a heroic action card of the same color. You can only have 1 heroic card per color. If your strength is lower than the monster's strength, you get a wound. You can avoid a wound if your action card has the protection icon, or if you discard a reward token, an action card, or a reward card with a protection symbol. If you cannot avoid the wound, take a wound token and apply the effects. When a powerwolf gets their third wound, they discard all the wounds, but the pack loses a blood point that goes from the altar to the Inferno card. If there is no blood on the altar, take it from the supply. If you encounter a monk, you can decide not to attack him. Discard the token and pick up all the cards in your discard pile. Or you can decide to attack him. In this case, he turns into a monster. Discard the token and get a grey monster. Fight it as usual. After the encounter, discard the token and put a fight token on the location of the encounter. It is now inactive. When the 6 fight tokens are on the map, the next to be placed will be taken from another location of the map. In this way, that space becomes active again. You cannot take a token in the same room as the last encounter, and you cannot take a token from a space with a powerwolf, except if these are the only options available. After movement, if no encounter took place, you can decide to attack directly a Strigoi, with a ranged attack or a melee fight. At the beginning of the game, Strigois are invulnerable. You can attack a Strigoi only if there are enough blood points on the altar card, based on the quantity indicated in the rulebook depending on the number of players. If you are on an adjacent space, you can attack the Strigoi with a melee fight. Your combat value has to be at least equal to the one shown on his card. You can do that with your card's combat value, and you can discard any other reward card or reward token to add more strength. If your value is at least equal, the Strigoi gets a wound. Put a wound token on his card. You can use a ranged attack if your powerwolf sees the Strigoi through a straight line corridor, even if you are not in the same room. To hurt the Strigoi, you still have to equal his combat value, and you can do that with your action card, and discarding reward cards only if you use them with wild strength. That means you have to eliminate them after use. Your turn is not over. After Powerwolf's movement and attack, Strigoi move. Pick up a Strigoi action token to decide which miniature moves. He moves from the center of a platform to the center of an adjacent platform, following the direction indicated by the letter on the player's action card. They can move even if the corridor image is interrupted. If the letter indicates a direction without any room, the Strigoi bounces to the opposite direction. If this is not possible, he stays where he is. If the letter indicates one of the entrance ladder, it is destroyed. If a powerwolf was standing on it, the group loses 1 blood point. The fallen miniature is put on another ladder tile. If all entrance ladder tiles are destroyed, the group loses a blood point. If between the Strigoi and the ladder there is a powerwolf, the Strigoi attacks the powerwolf instead of destroying the ladder. If the letter on the card is an X, the Strigoi doesn't move. And the same happens also if the letter indicates the platform where the other Strigoi is. If the Strigoi lands on a space with a powerwolf, the group loses a blood point. The powerwolf is moved to a different spot of the player's choice. After the movement, only if it has been performed, if the Strigoi now sees a powerwolf, he attacks. A Strigoi sees a powerwolf if they are connected by a straight line corridor, even if they are in different rooms. The Strigoi attacks only one powerwolf. If he sees 2, he chooses the closest one. If they are at the same distance, he chooses the one with the highest initiative value. When the Strigoi attacks, he automatically inflicts the number of wounds indicated by his card, plus any potential bonus on his action token. Players can avoid wounds by discarding reward tokens, action cards, or reward cards with the protection symbol. Or if they haven't already, they can use the protection symbol on their turn's action card. Each ability symbol can be used only once per assault. The player gets a wound token for each wound that has not been blocked. After the attack, put the attack token next to the master to indicate that the Strigoi is attacked this round. At the end of the attack, a powerwolf can counterattack the Strigoi, only if there are enough blood points on the altar, and it will be like a normal attack. At the end of the Strigoi's movement and attack, it is the turn of the next player following the initiative order. When all the players have completed their turn, if the attack token is next to the master, the assault ends. Otherwise, if the Strigoi did not attack this round, they get an additional turn. The master, or supreme master if he is the only one on the map, moves in the direction indicated by the letter on the lowest initiative card, and he attacks all the powerwolves in the new location, inflicting 1 single wound each. The players can avoid wounds as usual, but they cannot counterattack. At the end of the assault, the attack token is removed, and all the played and discarded cards are put on the player's discard piles. The discard pile can be taken back into your hand only after playing your last card or when you meet a monk. When the wound tokens on the Strigoi's card are equal to his life value, the Strigoi dies. The survivor Strigoi's card is turned on the other side. He becomes a Supreme Master Strigoi, but he does not lose the wounds he already had. From that moment on, the fortress starts collapsing. Each time the Strigoi is wounded, a platform is eliminated from the game. Consider the only room without a platform, and eliminate the platform in the room indicated by the letter on the card of the player who wounded the Strigoi. If there is no platform, nothing happens. If there are power wolves on the platform that is about to collapse, they have to save themselves. They can do that if there is a leap symbol on their card, or if they discard a reward token with that symbol. Otherwise, the group loses a blood point, and the miniature goes on a ladder tile. If the Supreme Strigoi is on a platform that is about to collapse, he teleports himself in the center of the room without a platform. If both Strigois are killed, you win. On the other hand, if blood point counters are put on the Inferno card in the quantity indicated by the rulebook, depending on the number of players, you lose. Legendary action cards are single copies, and they can be obtained during the game by being the first to perform a specific action, such as receiving the first wound by a Strigoi, defeating the first Strigoi, or other things that you will discover during the game. You will also encounter different symbols on your action cards. You will be able to heal your wounds, move more easily, avoid combat through stealth movement, and even rotate the platforms. If two power wolves stand on adjacent spaces, they can exchange reward cards. You now have all the tools to explore the fortress and attack the Strigoi. And this was Armata Strigoi. You can find it at Essen Spiel from October 24th to October 27th at the Scribabs stand, Hall 5, stand M118. If this project seems interesting to you, check out Scribabs' website. I'll leave you their website link in the description below. This year they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. Check out their projects and their previous game 011, inspired by the music of the band Therion. For any other doubt or question, leave me a message below. See you next time and have fun!